Everyone, my name is Mrs.M.V.Shelke. Today I am going to explain the topic network architecture, which is from the subject computer network. So network architecture is a defined as the physical and logical design of the software, network protocols, media of the transmission of data. Network architecture is divided into three types. That is, first type is client server architecture, peer-to-peer architecture, and hybrid architecture. Client server network architecture, end user called as a client to access the resources such as the songs, video from the central computer, and that central computer is known as the server. Client server architecture is basically divided into two parts. First part is the client and second part is the server. So client is the name of the workstation on this type of network, and servers is the handles the different requests for the data, and different type of servers are available, that is file server, printer, mail, and web server. Next type of network is peer-to-peer. So in peer-to-peer, individual who form a loose group can communicate with others in the group. There is no fixed division into the client and server. Each computer is used to store its own data. In peer-to-peer network architecture, each workstation has the same status. Each workstation has its own application, program, and storage devices. In peer-to-peer network architecture, user is responsible for storing and backing up on the data, backing of the data on the workstation. In the peer-to-peer network architecture, if user want to move from one workstation to another, there is no longer easy to access. Now third network architecture is hybrid architecture. So hybrid architecture is based on both client server and peer-to-peer architecture. It provides all the centralized services of the servers, but they also allow users to share and manage their own resources with the work group. Then there is a difference between peer-to-peer network architecture and client-server architecture. In client-server architecture, it has specific client and server. In peer-to-peer architecture, there is no differentiation between the client and server. Client-server architecture, data manages at the centralized level, but in peer-to-peer network architecture has its own data and application. The purpose of the client-server network architecture is to share the information. In peer-to-peer network architecture, its main goal is to maintain the connection among the peers. In client server architecture, it provides the data, or it provides the service only based on the request. In peer-to-peer network architecture, the peers have authority for the request as well as for the response. Client server architecture is basically used for the small as well as the large network, but peer-to-peer network architecture is suitable for only less users, and that user can be less than 10 devices. Thank you.